everybody! I'm in my cinnamon roll chair, which can only mean it's a story time. Okay, so my friend actually told me not to make this video because it is both gross and embarrassing. However, that's precisely why I'm making it. Because I made a video this year called The Most Embarrassing Thing I Did in Japan. And that was pretty embarrassing, but honestly the thing that happened to me recently was even more embarrassing. This channel is purely for sharing embarrassing things that happened to me, so like, why not? The video I made last time, my tooth fell out in front of a Japanese Lolita model, which was quite embarrassing. But I don't know, I feel like this time this thing is like genuinely embarrassing. Like I feel it in my bones. Okay, so this video already starts off embarrassing. So I got a UTI. I think it was probably from around the time that I had corona, and I had a fever all the time, and just like my immune system wasn't very good. So yeah, basically I got a UTI, which is a urinary tract infection. And that's already kind of embarrassing, honestly. I got some medicine from the pharmacy, and honestly it just wasn't working, and I was taking this medicine for like a week and it seemed to be getting worse, so I figured I should go to the lady doctor. Bearing in mind that I've never gone to a gynecologist before, which is extremely bad. Like, if you're watching this, please visit a gynecologist. I didn't go mostly because I'm the most anxious person in the entire world. I have a specific dentist that I go to that knows I'm very anxious, and every time they do something to me, they have to show me what they're doing first and explaining it to me. So now I know like a whole bunch about dentistry. But yeah, generally I just don't like people touching me when I don't know what they're doing. And my family actually does have a history of cervical cancer, and it's kind of like why I didn't want to go on the off chance that they would find something. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons basically I just didn't want to go. I think it's the same for everyone. It's just kind of like an awkward experience. So yeah, I asked a few of my friends and they recommended one that's English speaking. So for everything else, like normal colds and flus and like corona and dentist stuff, I always get it done in Japanese, just because my Japanese is good enough that I don't need English for those things, and if there's like a very specific word I can look it up. But when I had to go to the breast doctor or the lady doctor or anything specific like that, I tend to want to do it in English, mostly because like I don't know these words even in English, so I'm definitely not going to know them in Japanese. Okay, so the clinic itself is in Shinjuku and it's English speaking. I won't say any more than that just in case they sue me for defamation, even though honestly I really like the clinic. I have no no concerns about the clinic or how professional they were. I thought it was a really good clinic. But the reason I chose this place is because you don't have to make an appointment. And I'm not sure if anyone else with ADHD will get this, but for me, I just hate making appointments. And honestly, it stops me from doing a lot of things that I want to do, because I just hate making appointments, because then you have to go be at that place at that time, and like what if something else happens? And then if I have one appointment at any time in the day, that whole day is ruined. Like I cannot do anything else. I'm just so focused on this appointment. So honestly, I hate making appointments. So this is why this place stuck out to me, because I could just go and drop in. So yeah, I went just as it was opening after lunchtime, and I went inside. I was one of the first people to arrive, and there was someone I knew working at the reception. This is the embarrassing part. It was a girl that I've hung out a couple of times with before, years and years and years ago. She's really nice. I'm not sure if I still have her on Instagram because I can't remember her handle, but she's really nice. And it's just really embarrassing to have to go to someone that you know and tell them that your pee tube isn't working properly. I don't know, I was really embarrassed. So I went up there, and I forgot it's been such a long time that maybe she didn't recognize me, but I recognized her. So I just started waving like Forrest Gump. I didn't know what to say. I just started waving, and then we stood there and she looked at me and I looked at her for like a good 10 seconds. And then she just asked if I wanted the form in English or Japanese, and I said English, and I went and sat down. And I realized she probably didn't recognize me because obviously I'm wearing a mask and I cut my hair, so she probably didn't know who I was, and I just went up there and I started waving at her. So yeah, she told me to wait. I sat down, I filled out the form. Then when I gave back the form and she came back to call out my name to visit the actual doctor, halfway through my name, she stopped for just a second, and I think that's when she realized who I was. And she pretended like she didn't know me, but I feel like she did know me. So I was like, did she recognize me? Is she gonna tell everyone about this? Because this is pretty embarrassing. So yeah, we went into the room. I sat down. The gynecologist, he's Japanese and he doesn't speak English, and I chatted with him a little bit, and he said that obviously I speak Japanese, so it's fine, we can just continue in Japanese, but I wanted her to come back just in, because like I don't even know the word for UTI in Japanese, which is kind of on me really. I should have searched this before. So like I would want to know like stuff like this. I want to know specifically exactly what's going on. So yeah, she came back in and I explained the problem to her. It's a very normal thing that happens quite a lot to a lot of women, so that's not really the embarrassing part. But then she asked me like the very awkward questions about, you know, like when was the last time you had sex and stuff like that. And she said, okay, from what you explained, it seems like it's most definitely a UTI. However, there could be a chance that it's herpes. So I was like, oh my god, she's gonna tell everyone I have herpes. Yeah, so I do not think I have herpes. However, I'm like, who knows, honestly. So they said that they would also give me an STI test just in case, because, you know, like we're doing it would just add like, you know, like a minute onto the thing I was doing anyways. They gave me some medicine for my UTI, but if that didn't work, then maybe it would be herpes. And then they asked if I've ever had a pap smear, and I said no, and that's really, really bad, honestly. Like you should really, really get them quite regularly. But they were immediately like, you've never had one before, like you need to get one now. I can't believe you haven't had one. And just from then, my anxiety like shot up through the roof. And like I read about it online, but I didn't know like the specifics of what it was, and I was like, do I have to pee in a cup? And she was like, oh no, you have to go in the chair with your legs up. And I'm like, I'm not sure I want to do that, sounds scary. She's like, oh, it's totally fine, like don't worry about it. So they took me to the other room, and I had to take off my clothes waist down and get in the chair with the feet part like this, so you're sitting kind of like a Christmas turkey, I guess. So he pushed a button and it went like and my legs started opening at a glacial pace, and this just made me freak out. I just started freaking out already, and there's a curtain, so I can't see them and they can't see me. And then I heard the woman's voice from earlier, the woman that I know, and I was like, oh my god, she's gonna see my vagina. I was so embarrassed, and I didn't know what to say, so I tried to like lighten the mood, and I said, ha, sorry, my vagina's ugly. Like, damn, why did I say that? And then she said, don't worry, there are no ugly vaginas, which was a really, really nice thing to say, but oh my god, I was just freaking out. And then the issue is like, I think the doctor forgot that it wasn't my first time doing this, so he didn't really explain what he was doing that much. So first they put like these prongs in you and open you up like a Costco rotisserie chicken, and he did that, and I was already freaking out, and they started explaining it after they were doing it, so I was just completely freaking out. And then she said the next part is they're gonna put the instrument inside. I forget what it's called. People have explained to me what it's called like 100 times, and I think my mind is just mentally blocking it, but it's like a metal scrapey thing. I thought it was a swab, so I was expecting like a swab feeling, but it was like metal scratching against my insides, so I started freaking out, and this is the point where I started crying. Oh, this is so embarrassing. So I started crying, and for some reason I didn't want to, but my body was like involuntarily being like, itai. And the poor gynecologist was spooked because he just stopped, and which means that the thing is still inside of me. Instead of like proceeding and taking it out, I'm making the whole process take much longer. And then he's like, why is it hurting? Like, it shouldn't be hurting. If, you know, like the implication is that if it's hurting, that there's a big problem. And I was freaking out. I was like, no, don't worry, it doesn't hurt, I'm just really uncomfortable, that's all it is. And I was like, don't worry, I'm like this at the dentist. And he was like, oh yeah, like 確かに歯医者さんも怖いね, like oh yeah, I get scared at the dentist too. It was so awkward. And then he was kind of like scolding her, like, oh, this is her first time, so you should hold her hand or comfort her or something. And you could tell she didn't really know what to say. And I was crying because it was embarrassing. I think I was just sobbing with this thing inside of me. It was so embarrassing. And then, yeah, that went on for a while, and it took a lot longer than I thought, because they keep saying, oh, like, yeah, it would take a few seconds, but then it took more than like 10 seconds. I was freaking out even more and crying, and then I'm pretty sure this whole process took like twice as long than it needed to be because I was just such a baby. And then that was the end. They took it out, and I sat there on the chair looking into space, silently crying for like a minute, and then I got up and I got changed. So after that, I got changed and I went back into the reception office, and I had to like smile and act like I didn't just have a complete mental breakdown in the gynecologist chair. And yeah, they gave me my medicine and they charged me, and they said that I have to go back on Monday and find the results. So yeah, that was the experience. I've spoken to some of my friends, and they like, some of them have no issue going to the gynecologist, other people kind of like avoid it. So like, I think everyone's experience is kind of mixed. I think my one was pretty severe, and I don't want my video to turn anyone off from going to the gynecologist, because obviously it's really, really important. I think now I've had that experience, and next time I go I won't freak out as much. I think it was mostly just like how mysterious it was, and like having things used on me that I've never had before. I think that maybe I wouldn't have freaked out so much if they had explained a little bit more what they were doing. But I should also have been clearer that I get really anxious. So yeah, I would go back there in future for pap smear again, now that I know the situation. So yeah, overall my experience with them was fine. Like, I don't think they did anything wrong, and even though that the woman knows me from Instagram, that was really, really awkward, she did a really good job, and honestly she did comfort me a lot, so that was nice. The thing was, I just got back from the dentist. So I went to the dentist like a few days after the gynecologist, and normally I'm really, really anxious, but now I don't even care anymore. They can do whatever they want inside my mouth. After that experience at the gynecologist, I honestly don't care anymore. And being in Japan and going to like many different kinds of doctors for different things, and like specialty clinics, the experiences I've had have been very, very mixed. I've been to some really fantastic ones, I have been to some really bad ones. I went to 2 different breast clinics because I had a bit of a cancer scare, and honestly the 2 clinics were so juxtaposed. Like, one of them was really good and I had a really good experience, and the other one was quite bad. So like, maybe if you want, I'll make a video about that. I know it's not really interesting, but that's one thing about moving to a foreign country, and like, you don't really think about it initially, but like medical things, you've got to like, you know, you're doing a lot of things in a different language, and like medical language is very different from the regular language that you would speak normally, and it's all really scary, like doing things, having these kind of like invasive tests done in a language that's not your native language. It's also a little bit scary, but yeah, it's really important, and I really recommend getting regular checkups for everything. So yeah, that was my new very embarrassing thing that happened. I'm sure I will have a new one for you soon, because I am just a walking embarrassment and everything I do is embarrassing. So yeah, thank you for watching my video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I kind of want to hear your experiences going to the gynecologist or anything like that, because I don't know, I want to hear like how people feel about it. Like, am I the only one that freaks out? Because honestly, not my best moment. Anyways, thank you for watching as always, and please subscribe.